Okay, so this is gonna be against Scareclaw, and the good thing about this deck, Adventure Crystron, is you don't really mind losing the dice roll. Compared to Adventure Synchron, you almost always want to win a dice roll, right? You're like, oh, no, because going second, it can be a bit of a struggle, so you kind of want to go unhindered first, right? And so he starts off with Scareclaw. I'm asking him if it's once per turn, and it's like soft ones, so he can keep searching spells, field spells. And then he just combos off. And the only thing I understand from this deck that I just remember constantly is they get the big link guy that is unaffected by cards in defense mode, and I guess depending on how many or what it points to, it gets a certain effect. And that's basically all I know. But I know that the deck can out it. It's not much of an issue. Of course, if the game is simplified, then yeah, it can be a bit of a struggle to get over it. So then he just keeps comboing off. My hand is fairly decent. I know that he ends up getting the trap. That trap he just added was basically like an Icarus attack. He tributes to Scareclaw, then pops 2 cards in the field. And then he makes that guy. That's crazy. It's not once per turn. Adding and special summoning, like, that's pretty crazy. So he just adds up follow-up and he just passes. Then it goes to me, and I have a Smiger, and I draw into Griffin. So I was like, okay, fair enough. Then I'll start off with Tidal. I have Enchantress in hand, but I don't want to let him know that I have it, so, then I'll make him contemplate. But he allows it. He thinks a bit whether he wants to negate the Enchantress, but he just lets it go through, and I'm like, okay, I should be fine. Because I think I go right chain Griffin to play around the trap, and then I chain Droplet to stop the Fenrir. And he's like thinking about it at first, and he's like, okay, that's fine. And then on resolution, he's like, hang on, I'll activate my trap. So then he ends up going for my token and my Fateful. I'm like, okay, it's fine, that should be okay. Just don't have Ash, and I should be fine. Because then I could just like full combo with Crystron. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. So then I go, okay, Smiger effect. And he's like, Ash Blossom. I'm like, oh my god, okay, fine. Go Typhon. Typhon bounce. Right here, I keep forgetting that Typhon detaches. I have to detach for Typhon. So just, it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect the game. But yeah, just be mindful that you have to detach. And then he uses his continuous spell. Basically banishes a Scareclaw, I think. Or a Link. I'm not sure exactly what it does. But all I know is that he banishes it to pop a card on the field. He ends up popping my Typhon. He links away into Scareclaw. Gets another field spell. And then just does, I guess, the same thing as he did previous turn. And I'm just holding on because, like, if it doesn't have game, I can possibly get out of this because the trap. I know the trap is gone. I'm not sure how many of the traps he plays. So I feel like if he doesn't OTK me, then I should have a chance because all I need is 1 card, And it seems like I'll be okay. But then he just starts putting bodies on board. I'm like, okay, that guy can attack in defense mode, and I'm just cooked. So then I just lose. I was like, okay, fair enough. So we go to game 2, and I'm starting. So I draw my 5, draw an extra card, I put it back. And what's my hand? I think I have draw. I think my hand is fairly weak because I only have access to Adventure. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Yeah, so I have Adventure, so I have to ensure I get to my Griffin. And I draw the Draco back. It's always one or the other. I always draw a Draco back or Griffin. So I summon Griffin in defense mode, and I pass. I'm like, okay, hopefully draw. And I think I have a Bestial. I'm pretty sure I have a Bestial, but I feel like draw is just an insane card versus his deck. It's always been an issue for his deck, and I was like, okay, I felt kind of secure that I was draw. Draw. Those tactics, I'm forcing a gate because he's threatened to take it, and he opened another one. So fair enough. Okay, so he looks at my hand. He's like, I'll look at your hand. I'm like, fine, do I chain? Because he had a monster in his graveyard, but it wasn't a dark, it was an earth. So he gets rid of my tactics. And right now, I'm in fear of, like, well, can he push through it? And I'm like, is it just going to be an SP pass? And it just ends up being an SP pass. He hits my Payful, so I can't get my Griffin anymore. So he passes, and I draw, and I'm like, oh my goodness. I draw, I mean, it's not. I have to go battle phase to ensure that my next play goes unhindered, because this Terror Top cannot be removed because I need to get access to my Cherubini. So I was like, okay, pretty good. So I ended up adding Taktonborg, linking away for Cherubini. Cherubini send my Smiger. Smiger will then activate, searching me my Inclusion. Inclusion then searches my Sofador, and this is like standard Crystron combo now. With repetition, you understand that it's very simplistic. I dump my Trist and I dump my Trap. And I revive Trist with Inclusion by banishing it. Special summon, going to my Synchro 7, add back the Trap, and he just scoops. I'm like, okay, fair enough. And then we go to game 3, and I'm like, please open up draw, please open up a hand trap, because like his board is, it's not like an insane board, but I feel like it's enough, and he just has it backed up with hand traps. So I was like, okay, he goes off Scareclaw, searches field spell searches that guy, which typically searches a reborn. Usually that's how it works normally. You go Scareclaw, field spell, search the monster, special summon, whenever summon, adds a reborn or anything basically, and he adds a trap, and I'm like, okay, so that's guaranteed that I know he has a trap. But I think I'm like, he's doing a different line this time. He goes into 18 Fairy, and I'm like, okay, what the hell? Okay, but then it's just getting to the other guy. I was like, oh, that's fair enough. So then he goes specials this guy. I was like, what does this little ball do? And it's just the body, I guess. And he goes into Crush Sheep, and then he banishes for Astrolaud. Astrolaud then triggers the Sheep, reviving his 3. And I'm like, hey, let me read this real quick. And he synchros 2 Earths for a Natura Beast. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. So now I'm thinking to myself, like, man, I need droplets to out that Nat Beast. He sets 1 and he goes end of main. I'm like, no, hang on, bro, hang on. Nibiru. Nibiru. So that Nibiru just made everything a lot more simpler. I don't have to deal with a Nat Beast, and I was like, please pass, and he just passes. I'm like, fair enough. So draw phase. He's like, okay, thinking in draw phase, and he drops the Lancia. I was like, oh my goodness, this is so bad. So I'm really thinking here what I should do. And right, my go-to play when I'm under Lancia is try to get to an Infinity. And I was like, okay, let's try to go for that. Because I think I have something else. What do I have in my hand? I think I have, do I have Droll in my hand? I can't remember. So then I go for Softener Effect, and he's thinking about it, and he ends up ashing it. That took him a while. I was like, oh, shit. And then, fine, fair enough. And then I go Typhon, but once again, I forget to detach. I have to detach too. So I attack with 29, and then main phase 2, I set 1. I think it's Cluster. I'm pretty sure it's Cluster. So then I pass. So I know he has a trap set. So I'm like, okay, well, if he draws any Scareclaw, he can turn on his trap. And right here, I was contemplating a fair bit, because I was like, do I let him get to the Scareclaw guy? Because that means he gets to another field spell, and that puts him on half another Scareclaw. You know what I mean? So I was like, well, I'll risk it. I'll just make it to a point where, does he have another Scareclaw? Because if he does, then I'm just cooked. But if not, then he'll just pass, because there's no way to get to the field spell. And he ended up chaining the trap, popping my Cluster, my Typhon, and he sets 1 and passes. I'm like, oh, here we go. I draw, and I draw Inclusion. I'm like, yes. And he's thinking about it. He's like, what should I do? Because this adds me something. And he ends up throwing the Ash at it. It's like, okay, fine. So he opened up double Ash, but I'm perfectly fine, because I already have Sulfador. So the only thing that this was going to search was Tristaros. So I was like, okay, this is fine. Summon, and then I'm going to dump. That will end up sending my purple and my Trist. And then I go effective purple, searching me my Tristaros. Yeah, and then I normal summon. And he's like, hang on. Whoa, hold on. I'll activate. And I'm like, I'll chain. So I can't synchro, but I can still XYZ. So that's the good thing. So then I go for my Dawn Dragster, activate Inclusion, banish Inclusion, revive myself Fedora. And I think I just go battle phase. I'm pretty sure I just go battle phase, and that's basically going to be it. But that Lancia was pretty scary.